Hello, this is DeProgram with Ted Rall and John Kiriakou, and today is Tuesday, January 6th, 2026. Good morning, John.
Morning, Ted. How you doing?
I'm good. Obviously, still reeling from the news over the weekend about Venezuela and the overthrow of President Maduro by U.S. forces, and the oddity of seeing him appear in a courtroom in New York City. All very strange, very surreal, and the world is reacting, and that's basically what we're going to talk about today, guys. Some housekeeping. Please like, follow, and share the show. As always, if you're watching live on Rumble or YouTube, please put your questions up in the chat. Robbie West, our producer, will feed them up to us, and we will answer all of them if we can. We usually can. Yesterday, I think we missed one accidentally, so we're going to try to get to that early on.
Yes, you know what I wanted to say. I'm sorry to Sodan.
Our apologies.
Sodan, yes, we missed his question, and he is a faithful and loyal follower and contributor and viewer, and I wanted to apologize, and we're not going to do that again.
Definitely. Well, I can't promise we won't do it again.
Apologize again. We won't knowingly. Yeah. So
no, well, we didn't knowingly do it. We'll try not to fuck up again, and if we fuck up, we'll try to fuck up with someone else. Sorry. So
yeah.
Our apologies there, Sodan, for sure. And your support is much appreciated. So, this is day 3 of Robbie Aid. I don't know what our numbers are right now for Robbie Aid, but Robbie, please, please to help support Robbie so we can keep him on the show. We seek to get at least $1,000 every month from you guys at the top of the month, and that's been happening, and it's been great. I'm going to go ahead and put that URL up there. It's GoFundMe.com/F as in Frank /DeProgram Robbie. And if you are confused by that URL, which I know I would be, just go to GoFundMe.com and then just do a search for DeProgram Robbie, and he'll come right up. Okay, shall we do that question?
Yeah,
and then we will.
There's a lot to say.
Okay, all right, here we go. 2 questions. This is from Ali, right? And then Sodan, Robbie, if you can put up Sodan's question, we'll get to it. 2 questions for both of us. What do you think OPEC's response ought to be and will be to Venezuela? And secondly, what country has the worst driving etiquette from the ones you've seen? I love that second one in particular. I have opinions.
I do too. If this were the 1970s, OPEC would cut off all oil sales to the United States, and we would be in a state of crisis.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that there will not be any OPEC response. I don't think they'll do a doggone thing.
OPEC is no longer a political entity in the way it was back during the oil crisis, during the Ford administration. It's just not.
Right.
The whole idea of like the non-aligned movement, and OPEC there was a Venn diagram there. That's over. Everyone's aligned, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem.
That's it.
And
that's exactly right.
So Venezuela is kind of on its own, at least when it comes to OPEC. Driving etiquette. You want to take that one, and then I'll chime in.
I'm gonna call it like a 5-way tie between Athens, Cairo, Bangkok, Mexico City, and Sana'a. You take your life into your hands. Listen, the first time I ever went, I got to turn this light off. The first time I ever went to Egypt, as soon as I arrived, I dumped all my stuff in the hotel, jumped into a cab, and said, "Take me to the pyramids," right? In the drive to the pyramids, we either were hit or we hit other cars 5 times.
Holy shit.
The 5th time, hard enough that it disabled the taxi I was in. And so I had to get out of the taxi, hail another taxi on the highway, and go the rest of the way to the pyramids. And you hit somebody or they hit you, you don't even slow down. You just keep going. I never saw anything like it in my life. Cairo. And now my insult in Washington is like, I'll roll down my window and shout, "You're not in Cairo anymore."
That was hard for me to beat. And I do my own driving when I travel overseas.
I do too.
I take a lot of taxis.
Yeah.
I love driving. And well, the Afghans are maniacs because they've been driving for a very short time. And for until very recently, all you needed to drive, you didn't need a license. You just needed the car. So if you
and an Ottoman rifle in the passenger seat next to you.
If you had the keys,
seriously,
you were good to go. Yeah. And people just floored it. There was a brand new NATO built road in the Hindu Kush where there was a cafe like at a turn, and the entertainment was to sit there and have a cup of tea and watch the cars fly off the cliff, or because people would come around the corner flooring it going downhill. They wanted to see how fast they could go. And, there was a curve, and obviously you have to slow down on a mountain pass curve. And, they would just be like, there's no way you could be there an hour without seeing a truck or a car going off there, usually multiple. And they were piling up in the ravine. There's actually a danger that they were going to pile up and fill up the mountain, the canyon. It was insane. But I got to say, in terms of etiquette, I think the worst people in the country are Minnesota, in the world are Minnesotans.
I will say people have been very rude to me in Minnesota.
Well, they don't drive right. So they all drive the same speed in every lane.
Yes, that's exactly what the problem is. Yes, that's right.
And that fucks everything up. You can have a 5-lane highway. You can't pass.
And they don't do a zipper merge.
They don't. Yeah, New Yorkers are the masters of the zipper merge.
Yeah.
And also San Franciscans are fucking assholes too.
Oh, they're just jerks. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just generally dicks. And if you're like stopped on the side of the road, no one will help you. So no, I mean, I think Americans are kind of like the rudest for rank incompetence and aggression. I mean, I'd have to go like Karachi. They're fucking insane.
Karachi. Yeah. You know what? I wasn't even thinking. Karachi's bad. Peshower's bad because you get into a little kerfuffle in Peshawar and they'll pull out guns and start shooting. And
For
then,
sure.
4 or 5 people, just bystanders, will start shooting too.
I would say the most charming is Beijing, where people will literally, like, if they get into a road rage incident, a police officer will be there in 30 seconds, and he'll adjudicate it on the spot, and he'll be like, "You give him 101," like, and it'll be like, I don't want to give it to him, and they give it to him, and it's solved right there. It's like Sharia law; it's taken care of immediately.
Oh my God.
Anyway, so etiquette and skills are two different things. Okay, Venkatesh, what happens next if Iran acquires nuclear weapons? And I promise we're going to get to Venezuela in a sec. Will Israel and America still pursue a hawkish stance? Is Iran's nuclear ambition a net good for world peace? Oh, I like that one. I think it actually is. I think Iran should acquire nuclear weapons. I think
totally agree.
It would stabilize the Middle East. It would get the United States and Israel out of Iran's grill, and it would put things, and it would be a counterbalance to Israel's hegemony, I think.
Totally, completely agree. I said on the show yesterday, I'm going to repeat it. If I were the Iranian leader, I would want a nuclear weapon yesterday.
And I think it's in the interest of world peace, ironically.
I agree.
I mean, of course, what I'd rather see is Israel disarm, but that's not going to happen.
Yes.
Kevin Cronin, why do Americans like it when we or our leadership do fantastic things like we did at the direction of one man?
Yeah.
I want to just add to this before you answer, John. Yesterday's USA Today poll became the first poll asking Americans how they feel about the invasion and overthrow of the government of Venezuela. 1 out of 3 Americans, including 60+% of Republicans, say that this is all good. They approve of it. Mm-hmm. I mean, they didn't even know where Venezuela was on a map, or they couldn't have picked out Nicolás Maduro if they saw him stealing their car like a week ago. And now they're in favor of this thing. I mean, they're basically just in favor of anything that Trump wants to do, right?
That's
or
it.
Basically any invasion the U.S. wants to do.
MAGA is dead. MAGA was a false movement, a fake movement. The neocons are ascendant because the heart of both the Democratic and Republican parties is a neoconservative and neoliberal foreign policy.
Do you think it's too harsh to say that they're a fake movement? Maybe they were. I mean, I know what you mean, and I kind of agree with you. But do you think that, give the devil its due? Maybe it's just a defeated movement, right? It was an attempt to take over the GOP and it failed, or maybe they didn't really have a strong ideological core. Is that the problem? Or
I think the answer is yes.
Contradiction.
Yes to both. Yes to both. There was never any agreement as to exactly what MAGA was supposed to mean, especially not on foreign policy. Make America great again. Who could be against that? Making America great. I want America to be great.
Who doesn't?
But in my mind, that means not wantonly invading other countries and overthrowing their governments.
Right.
I mean, look at the New York Times today. The New York Times is essentially predicting that the Cuban government will cease to exist in the coming weeks.
I don't know if I would say weeks, but I would say months.
It's done.
You called this. Let's go ahead and talk about Cuba, right? So that's a major consequence, right? So basically what this boils down to is the Venezuelans have been providing about 1/3 to 1/4 of all of Cuba's oil imports. Some of it's also been coming from other sources like Russia. And the thing is, the question is, will the Russians continue their current shipments, and would they be willing to supplement and increase? I mean, it seems like the Russians are, they're not pleased about what just went down in Caracas, but at the same time, they also see the opportunities as it relates to their stance in Ukraine. So they don't want to offend Trump. They don't want to attract attention. Basically, Trump is like a rampaging monster, and they're just trying to, like when there's a crazy person on the metro or on the subway in New York,
you avert your eyes.
It's like that's what they do. That's kind of like what the Russians are doing right now. And
yes.
So the Cubans are. So
did you happen to
go ahead? Cuba, go ahead. I mean, sorry, John, go ahead.
Shoot. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I was going to say, did you also happen to see, it was either the Journal or the Times this morning, talking about this national debate all of a sudden in China? People are saying, hey, we should take Taiwan. It's like, totally. What did you think was going to happen?
Of course.
If the United States could just kidnap a president and overthrow his government and lay claim to his territory and his oil, then why can't everybody do that?
No, I mean,
it's a legitimate question.
Well, certainly China has far more of a legitimate claim on Taiwan than we do on Venezuela. We have no claim. Yes. The Monroe Doctrine is just none. John, when you were taught about the Monroe Doctrine in school, did you get taught the way I was, where it was basically just like, so we asserted control over Latin America, and that's been pretty much our stance ever since. But no context about, like, this has no legal basis. There's no reason for this. They never taught me any of that.
No, it was all in the name of keeping the peace. This was good because we're the good guys, and we keep the bad foreigners out of our hemisphere. So it was good for peace.
And then there's the other aspect of this was that we were always taught that that remember the Maine was a real thing.
Yes, absolutely.
We were never taught that it was bullshit.
Mrs. Stewart, my 5th grade teacher, she could have taught the entire year-long class about the Spanish-American War and remember the Maine, and she was a true believer. We were never taught that it was bullshit. It wasn't until I was in college that I was taught it was all bullshit.
Me too. Yeah, and so I think most Americans, they really believe that they don't see anything strange about the assertion that American law would apply outside of the United States.
Yes.
I mean, exactly, can you imagine? Right. I mean, let's just say Iran kidnapped Donald Trump and put him on trial in Tehran. Right. By the way, they'd have a pretty legit
Absolutely.
Case. I mean, it's like, but still, Iranian law doesn't apply in the United States. It's just it's that simple, right? Yeah. I mean, so these are outlandish, completely absurd, constructions that we're dealing with here.
Yep.
All right. So Cuba, let's talk about the geopolitical aspect here. So Cuba, let's just say, what will happen is that the Cuban government, the Cuban economy, which is already under tremendous stress. I wouldn't say it's a fucking catastrophe, but it's been under stress for decades.
Yes.
Is in danger of collapse. You would see widespread hunger. You'd see social services collapse. You might see political instability, although I suspect maybe not. I think you'd probably just see more like failed state. It's not going to become Haiti, but it's like the thing will circle the drain, right? The Cubans don't want us there. Even the ones who don't like the government don't want the U.S. to invade. So
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I think I've told you that when I went to Cuba last year, I guess it was, or no, it was 2 years ago, that every meal, this is one of the first things I noticed, every meal there was squash. And I'm not really a squash fan. I'll eat it if it's served to me, I suppose, but not every meal of every day. And finally I said, what's up with the squash? There's got to be something more than squash. And the host said, no, actually, even food falls under the U.S. embargo. And so they only eat whatever they can grow, and this is squash season. So even food, we don't allow them to import.
I was there a lot longer ago than you. I was there 25 years ago, John, and it was very similar in terms of the food situation. I mean, it was really disappointing as a New Yorker, where we have amazing Cuban restaurants, to go to Cuba and find that the food sucked.
It's awful.
It's a lot of chicken.
Yeah,
a lot of chicken,
a lot of beans,
flavorless. Yeah,
flavorless. Yes.
It was bland as shit, and I was like, "What the fuck?" I mean, you don't normally, like, to get the real shit, you have to go to that country, and
not in this case.
No, and so they're I guess, what would that look like? And I mean, I can't imagine the United States thinking, "Okay, we can do Bay of Pigs 2.0," but maybe. I mean, this president's really rolling, Cold War 20th century style.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And if you're the Cuban leader, what do you do to save yourself? What do you do to protect yourself? There's nothing you can do.
Friends.
You've got no friends, and you're 90 miles away from the hegemon of the region. So there's nothing you can do except prepare your departure plans and hope you can make it to Madrid. I mean, that's pretty much it.
Would the Cubans prepare an indigenous uprising? I mean, when Iraq was invaded, the Iraqi troops went into a lot of villages and dropped off guns and said, bury these and use these for the subsequent guerrilla uprising. And they did.
Yes.
The French government did the same thing in 1940 when they were being overrun by the Germans, although French people have a lot of guns because they hunt.
Sure.
It's like, so what, I mean, would the Cubans prepare for a resistance? Or would it basically, is it doomed to become an American colony? I mean, if the Cubans can outlast Donald Trump's second term, I think they live to see another day, right?
Agreed. Just like if the Danes can withstand threats of an invasion of Greenland for the next 3 years, they'll be okay.
Let's talk about that. You brought that up right before we went on the air. Steve Bannon had some stuff to say about that.
No. It wasn't Steve Bannon. It was Stephen Miller. Which is even more dangerous.
Right, that's right. I always confuse Steve Miller with the Steve Miller Band guy, but yeah. Anyway.
Right.
Abracadabra, cadabra.
So Stephen Miller is counselor to the president and deputy chief of staff. He's also one of the intellectual sort of fathers of MAGA. Purportedly.
But he gave more second term than first term, or am I mistaken about that?
More second term than first term. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He gave an interview yesterday to Jake Tapper on CNN in which he said some incredibly provocative things. He called international treaties where countries, promise not to invade each other, international niceties. International niceties that can be ignored.
These are solemn promises that literally have been the basis of international affairs for thousands of years, really.
Yes, I mean, that's exactly right. So he also said, in the context of the conversation that you and I are having right now, that the United States will invade Greenland. We will take Greenland. He called it an integral part of the United States, which is preposterous, but it's an integral part of the United States, and it is a necessity for the security and safety of the United States. We already have a military base there. We have for decades. And the Danes...
And those are international waters that he's talking about anyway, right? Like, even if we occupied Greenland, the ships that he's so worried about would remain unimpeded in those in those waters.
That's exactly right.
Russian and Chinese ships are not in Danish/Greenlander waters.
No, they're not. They never have been. And so it's like he's preparing us for an American invasion of a NATO country. A NATO country. This is unprecedented. It's territory that's never been sort of forded before. So what do? Does that mean that NATO is going to have to attack the United States in order to save Greenland for the Danes? I mean, that's what the treaty says.
And as I was joking with you before, under Article 5, the United States would be obligated to come to Greenland's defense against the United States.
Yeah, we would have to attack ourselves according to the treaty.
Now, the advantage is we have a good shot at this. I think this is a war we can win.
Yeah,
we know where all the targets are.
Agreed.
We have excellent intelligence about us.
Unbelievable.
We can kick our own ass, as Rudy Ray Moore used to say. We can kick our own ass twice a day.
This got so bad that yesterday afternoon, Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister, had to come out and say, "Look, you guys have to stop. You can't have Greenland. You can't invade Greenland. You can't attack Denmark. We've got to come down on the side of the Danes."
They're a little slow to this.
A little bit. I think that the Brits and others thought that they could handle this directly with the Trump administration through back channels.
Yeah.
But then with this interview by Stephen Miller, back channels aren't working.
I mean, there's so much okay, how serious do you think the threat to Greenland is before we go back to Venezuela and answer some more questions?
Yesterday, I was asked about this in a podcast, and I made a face and just went, no. I said, we're not going to take Greenland. And then an hour later, Stephen Miller's on CNN saying we're going to take Greenland. So I think this is like a legit problem. We're going to have to deal with.
So what's the solution from the Danish point of view? They have to go to NATO and say, we have a threat from
protect us.
From our lead member.
Yes.
And
yes.
Who's the adult in the room?
Exactly.
Is it Emmanuel Macron? Maybe. I'm not even kidding.
I'm thinking that it is, actually.
Because he's the one who's been speaking intelligently about Venezuela.
And Donald Trump likes him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Trump feels one way or the other about Keir Starmer, but I think Trump likes and respects Macron. And so maybe it's going to be up to Macron to say, come on, you guys, you have to stop.
I mean, the funny thing about Macron's psychology is that, so he's in an abusive relationship. He's obviously a child of abuse. And I'm not saying this to be snotty, but it's true. And I know something about that myself from my own upbringing. And one thing that people like he and I are able to do is we're able to keep things calm when people are acting crazy. We're able to not get riled up and keep our voice steady and talk like the crazy alcoholic who's going to hit you down.
Right.
Macron is kind of dealing with not an alcoholic, well, kind of an alcoholic, but he's dealing with Donald Trump is acting crazy.
This doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand. like I said yesterday, Ted, I believed, probably foolishly at this point, that MAGA was something that parts of MAGA, elements of MAGA were things that people on the left and people on the right could agree, like anti-war.
Mm-hmm.
And MAGA now we see is not at all anti-war. It's not.
Robbie, I know, stepped away for a second, but Robbie, when you come back, please feed up on the ads that we have. Just a reminder, we need to get $1,000 for Robbie to stay on the show every month. So GoFundMe.com, go to search for DeProgram Robbie. Once we get to $1,000, I'll stop asking for this month, for the month of January. By the way, thank you very much for the support from yesterday. We have amazing watch hours right now.
Amazing watch hours. It's incredible to me.
Okay, let's do some. I guess before we move on to the questions, John, I want to ask you. So, what do you make of the fact that we haven't occupied Venezuela? We don't have a single boot on the ground, as far as we know. There might be covert. Actually, it's a two-part question. Do you think we have covert operatives in remote parts of Venezuela on the ground? That's the way that we did in the early days of the invasion of Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And
absolutely, yes.
And then part two is, do we now go ahead and, should we assume that there will be a second wave, boots on the ground? Because inevitably the Rubio model isn't going to work. The Rubio model says we are going to stay offshore and hover over the interim president's shoulder, President Rodriguez. And if she doesn't do everything we say, like kick out all the Cubans, kick out all the Iranians, stop selling oil to the Cubans, and so on, if she doesn't do everything that we say and she doesn't jump high enough when we say jump, that we're going to invade. I mean, that doesn't seem like much of a way to run basically they're trying to run a puppet state. This is a Vichy thing, right? The Germans learned the hard way. The Germans didn't have enough troops to occupy all of France during the war, so they set up a Vichy collaborationist regime.
Yeah.
But after 2 years, they found that they couldn't work with the Vichy. Vichy wasn't jumping high enough, so they invaded all of Vichy and took that over too. Isn't that kind of the place where inevitably the U.S. will find itself too?
I think so, Ted. And that's a really great analogy too. I wouldn't have thought to compare it to Vichy, but yeah, I think that's right on. And this is another thing. It's that we're just not good at this. Mm-hmm. We've never been good at it.
And yet we keep trying.
We keep trying, and we keep making the same mistakes over and over and over. It doesn't matter what decade we happen to be in. It's always the same mistakes. And I just don't understand why we don't learn our lesson.
This is right here is a by the way, I wanted to mention one thing about the driving question that I thought you would like. So I don't know if this is still true, but for many years the Turks have the highest fatality rate per mile driven of any country in the world.
Oh my God.
I just thought you'd like that.
I did not know that. So that's very funny to me.
But per mile driven, Turkey's dangerous. You take your life into your hands when you get on a Turkish highway. Frasmataz wants to know, just a comment. Bibi's wife has moved permanently to Miami. Next war, Bibi consolidating power. Was she worried about getting indicted for corruption too?
I did not know that. I was in Miami a couple of weeks ago, and I went to Miami Beach. I like Miami Beach very much. Mm-hmm. But I guess I just didn't realize that it's the most heavily Jewish place in America, North Miami Beach. I didn't know that.
I thought that was New York City.
It's more heavily concentrated in Miami, to the point where when I got to North Miami Beach, I saw more Israeli flags than I saw American flags on display. Like every restaurant, every diner, even real estate offices had Israeli flags hanging in the windows.
That's insane.
I was shocked.
Yeah, it's insane. Robbie, we're ready. Let me know when you're ready for that to feed up that ad. Thanks, Robbie. Let's bring in Robbie to just talk about Robbie Aid, and then we'll move on here.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, Robbie, fire away.
All right, yeah. So basically what Robbie Aid is a way to keep me working for these two wonderful people full time. So I really do appreciate y'all doing that. And another huge way that y'all are able to help that doesn't cost you a dime is come over and watch us on Rumble. because Rumble pays us based off of watch hours, and literally like for every nickel YouTube pays us, Rumble pays us about 94 cents. And you're doing the exact same thing. So come on over, no censorship, the weather's fine. Yeah, you got some right wingers like me, but I promise you we're not all like Stephen Miller.
No.
And the check's clear.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks, Robbie. Okay, so let's see. Katie Catastrophe, do we think there's any validity to Nick Shirley's claims? He's the young internet journalist who is active in Minnesota.
Mhm.
Do we think daycares should have to allow random people into the facilities? My MAGA parents seem to think that he's in the right. Well, Tim Walz seems to think that there's something to it.
Yeah, Tim Walz announced yesterday that he will discontinue his campaign for re-election and will no longer be the governor of Minnesota. I have become a serious Tim Walz detractor, and I'm sickened that the likes of CNN and MS Now, formerly known as MSNBC, have pretended that this is not a scandal in Minnesota, where these phony daycares that have been set up that are taking both federal and state aid and don't have a single child in them, and then are transferring the money to Somalia, allegedly, where it's ending up with Shabab, the terrorist group.
This is one of those siloed stories, like
only
like
Fox News is covering it.
Benghazi, like the Biden senility scandal, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Let me read this ad, John.
Yes.
You probably noticed Rumble is growing fast and it's not slowing down. They're building a real alternative to big tech that puts creators first and actually protects free speech. And now there's Rumble Premium, an easy way to upgrade your experience. With Premium, you get ad-free viewing across the platform. No pre-rolls, no interruptions, just the content you came for. Plus, Premium members unlock exclusive content like bonus videos, behind-the-scenes drops, and more from your favorite creators. Right now, Rumble is offering $10 off an annual subscription. Just go to rumble.com/premium and use the promo code STUDIO at checkout. That's rumble.com/premium, promo code STUDIO. No ads, more freedom, and content you actually care about. That's the deal. You can also pay $5 a month and just watch us. So save a few bucks there. So Tim Walz. First of all, I don't understand why Minnesota doesn't have term limits. Three terms is too much for a governor.
Agreed. I was kind of surprised when I learned that Minnesota didn't have state term limits. But yeah, agreed. I think he's been, I guess, a decent enough governor, but you can't pretend that these crimes aren't taking place. And my big beef with Walz is he did know that this was happening. And instead of ordering a Minnesota Bureau of Investigation, he fired the whistleblowers.
Yep.
Which is a violation of federal law. So Walz got to go.
And to answer that question more specifically, do I think anybody should randomly be able to come and go from a daycare? No, but on the other hand, these weren't really daycares.
No,
right?
No,
these are these
daycares.
Scam operations. There was no daycaring happening. And also sometimes, you got to bend some rules if like the law is being broken. If no one's enforcing the law and stealing hundreds of millions of dollars in taxpayer money, someone's got to fucking do something. So, good for this kid.
Yeah. And I saw complaints in the Washington Post over the weekend, like, this kid, he's a right-wing activist.
Yes, he is.
So?
Yeah. Is he wrong?
So what? Exactly. Is he wrong?
It's not an ad hominem attack. It's stupid.
I'd give the guy the Polk Award for investigative journalism. He's 100%. The one who broke the story.
Yeah. I mean, the question is he right? Nitsky 3403, sorry. What's something that you both changed your mind on politically as you got older? Also, is Robbie open to the idea that some socialized systems are needed for healthy government and economy? I'll let Robbie answer that question himself. But John, something you changed your mind on politically as you got older?
A lot. Yeah, there's a lot. I think the most important thing that I changed my mind on as I got older was American exceptionalism. That's the big one for me.
For me, it was the idea that
Yeah.
the Democratic Party was
that's a good one too.
trying to fight for ordinary working Jane and Joe.
Yeah.
I just know that not to be true.
Yeah, you're exactly right about that as well.
Let's bring in Robbie, and he can answer. I'm not going to answer for him. He is fluent in the English language, albeit with a very strange accent. Go ahead, Robbie.
Hey, y'all sound strange to me. I sound normal, but
I know.
I mean, I've changed my mind on a lot of things. I used to think that Sean Hannity was actually an American patriot. I've learned that is not true. As far as socialism goes, I worked in healthcare for 8 years. It's already a hybrid socialized capitalist system where they privatize the profits and socialize the loss. So if you're going to have that kind of system, we should 100% nationalize the insurance companies. We should 100% nationalize healthcare and things along those lines. If you receive a dime from the government, then the government owns your ass, lock, stock, and barrel, and then the American taxpayer should get a rebate at the end of the year based on the savings that you get as a result. That's how.
Right.
I have to admit, I don't know, this probably wouldn't work, but under representative government, but I would love to have a la carte voting for the federal budget, where you can say, like with a sliding scale, like I want 16% of my budget, of the federal budget, my federal budget, to go to this. I want 22% to go to that.
Well, the way that you would do it, one of the things I would advocate for is, instead of every single person having a vote, it would be one household. And what that would do is that would strengthen the institution of marriage, that would strengthen families, and it would just cut back on so much of the corruption.
I don't know, man.
Well, what about the line?
Go ahead.
What about the line item veto? Remember, we had the line item veto for a minute during the Clinton administration, and he was vetoing all kinds of different, little specific things. And then the Supreme Court said, no, you can't do that.
Yeah. By the way, I never understood the Supreme Court ruling. What is the constitutional basis for that ruling?
Yeah, just because they didn't like it is what it was.
It's kind of like,
nah, that's too confusing.
Where does it say in the Constitution or any of its amendments that that like a bill has to be like you take it all or you take none of it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I don't know.
Well, that or just ban omnibus bills. Every spending bill has to be done individually,
right? Instead
of these lump bills that have the must pass thing.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I think it's. I mean, of course, it's hard to say like what is an omnibus bill, right? How could you define it? Like if you put two things, two things together, is that an omnibus?
Does that make it omnibus?
Yeah. Yes. Keep it simple. Listen, I have a very smooth brain. It's incredibly aerodynamic. So the easier things are, the better off.
But also, do you want to have roll call votes for 10,000 line items?
I'm not in Congress, and if you're there and if you're making your millions off the stock market, then you should be able to work a full 8-hour day just like we do.
By the way, now having just mentioned that, John, Robbie, why the fuck do they have to read the roll call? Why don't they have buttons at their desk where they just put a green and a red button and just hit the button?
It's all tradition. You're talking about the Senate, because in the House they do have you have a voting card. You stick your card in the machine. You vote yes, no, or present, and it pops up, green, red, or yellow. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you're right. In the Senate, it's all about tradition, and they call the names one at a time, and then after they call the names, then they call all the names all over again for those who missed the vote.
It's so dumb.
It's
so
hours
inefficient.
And hours. Yeah, it's bad.
It's stupid. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's a good thing it's a good thing the House is limited at 454.
Oh, and a big shout out.
430. Yeah, 435 plus the others.
Yeah, 435. I keep saying 454. I don't know why. Anyway,
Poonbanger over there on Rumble gifted 5 subs to 5 lucky humans. So thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you.
Nice name.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. Rumble has the best names because they don't censor you. I mean, you just come on over and just have fun with it. It's awesome. Speaking of Rumble, we are currently number 7 in the country.
Wow.
And we have got our highest numbers to date. We broke yesterday's record by a mile. So
wow.
What the fuck?
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Seriously.
7 in the country, we're bumping up against the likes of Fox News.
That's true. Yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you for that.
No, seriously.
Thank you.
It's an honor. It is. All right, Robbie, putting you back into the back.
Wow.
But you'll be back, I'm
Thank you,
sure.
Robbie.
All right. So FUSO, $1. Thank you very much. The Somali story is an Israeli psyop. Check out James Lee. I don't know who that is at 5149.
That would be interesting.
It would be.
And just with that's the extent of my knowledge of it, was that one sentence just now, but sounds plausible. Yeah. Let's check that out.
So, all right. So let's see. What else do we want to talk about here? I mean, we have a lot of stuff to talk about. I do want to mention this one aftermath of the Tim Walz situation.
Mm-hmm.
So the Department of Health and Human Services under Trump has announced that it's cutting off $7 billion of temporary assistance for needy families, which is basically a welfare program for families with kids.
Yes.
For Minnesota, I could see that. They're pausing it, I should say. New York, California, Illinois, and Colorado. Now, there's no evidence that's been presented that these other 4 states have any kind of fraud on the level of Minnesota. But the Trump administration is asserting that they do, but they're not saying anything. I mean, I feel like they should put up or shut up. It seems like a bad optic to me to be, I mean, like in the first Trump, this is, of course, the opposite victims here. But during the first Trump administration, and in fairness to Trump, Biden continued the policy. Yeah. They capped the mortgage interest deduction to over $10,000, which they knew would disproportionately affect the blue states instead of the red states.
And it has.
And Donald Trump, if nothing else, he's killed that tradition that to say that I'm the president. Like Mamdani said, I'm the president, I'm the mayor of all New Yorkers, not just the people who voted for me. Donald Trump doesn't feel that way. He doesn't feel like if you didn't vote for him, he's not your president.
Yeah, you get punished.
And so that's what this is about. Is there going to be any political blowback, or would the Democrats be able to make some interesting ads in the midterms to talk about targeting poor kids for political retribution? Or because they're poor and maybe minority, nobody cares?
I think the latter. I think for the most part, people don't care. I think for the most part, most Democrats don't care. I keep coming back to something that you said the other day, Ted. And it was, I forget what issue we were talking about, but what you said was that Joe Biden had 4 years to change things back. And he didn't. Joe Biden had 4 years to dismiss charges against Maduro, and he didn't. Joe Biden had 4 years to ensure that hungry children don't go hungry, and he didn't.
Nope.
So I don't know why we should expect miracles from the Democrats now. I don't think they're going to do anything.
My blood always boils when I get these Democratic mailers that are addressed to my dead mom, and because she was an avid Democrat and had foolishly donated to them, and they always say things like, send money so we can fight. If only. I mean, you guys never do. And at a certain point, I just wonder,
that's it.
When are people going to figure that out?
Yeah, that's it. They're all frauds. I really believe that. These mainstream Democrats, I have zero love for them. I think they're all phonies.
I would go further and say even the progressive Democrats. I don't have much to.
The progressive
sometimes Ro
Democrats.
Khanna says something that I like, or sometimes AOC says something that I like. But in the end, they all vote the wrong way all the time.
Yeah, they do. They do.
I mean,
and that's why
has AOC said anything about your pardon? You know what I mean?
Are you kidding? She would run screaming from the room if I walked in. And the worst of them all is that criminal Hakeem Jeffries.
He's horrible.
The worst.
Dan H. Films. What do we think about I like this question a lot. What do you think about the timing of the Maduro capture coinciding with Mamdani's inauguration? And how will this affect Trump and his relationship going forward? John, my take on this is that it was not the main impetus for the timing. I think the main impetus for the timing was the holidays and the media, and burying it in the media, because it was going to be hard for any protest movement to get going. But I think it's a happy coincidence for them, and I think they're happy. They like it. John, I saw on X various right-wing influencers like Ben Shapiro types arguing that this was showing images of the the Maduro caravan being, taken to the house of detention there in Brooklyn,
Yeah.
and saying, "Look, the big boys are in town. Look, we're trolling you, Mamdani. There's nothing you can do. The feds can come and go in and out of your city as much as we want. And look, we did this, and we're rubbing your nose in it." I doubt Mamdani cares, but that's the optics.
Yes, that is the optics, and I think that's what we should have expected. I thought it was very well planned out. Yeah,
it's not really. It doesn't really humiliate Democrats.
No,
but it's a little bit of shredded red meat for the base.
See, but we come back to this idea again that the Democrats have consistently underestimated Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a master politician, and he's far smarter than the Democrats have ever given him credit for being.
That's true.
And that's why they keep getting burned, because they underestimate him.
He has the sharpest showman instincts of any politician of our lives.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
And he understands. Basically, the brief against him is that he's turned politics into a circus. I would argue that politics was always a circus, and that he just recognized it and played into it.
And look what it's gotten him. He's won twice, at least.
He would, yeah. It's true. And the thing is, it's kind of like, let us entertain you, as Nirvana said, right?
That's right.
The American people want to be entertained. I wish that they wanted to be taken care of, but apparently they don't care about that.
No, I think not.
FUSO, oligarchs don't want us to have health care because they want us dead. Then the unwashed masses heard because of AI and automation. I don't think they want us dead, because then they don't get any money out of us.
Yeah, true.
True. But they definitely don't want us to have health care. That's for sure.
They don't.
No, it's gross and disgusting. Venezuela. What next, John? They're gonna. I think my instinct is better. I'd say at least 50-50. There's going to be more military action. I think Vice President Rodriguez, now acting president, her days are numbered. I don't know if she can even make it 30 days. They're gonna get rid of her.
I think they are. Ted, last night I was on an Australian news channel, Broadcast News, ABC, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. And while I was on, they broke into the news show to say that there was gunfire in Caracas, and then they cut to their correspondent in Caracas. Or it wasn't a correspondent so much as a stringer. And he showed this video of very long lines of cars stopped at checkpoints. And Venezuelan soldiers were pulling people out of their cars. I saw it with my own eyes. Pulling people out of cars and checking people's phones, looking at their text messages to see if they criticized Maduro.
Oh, boy.
And if there was criticism of Maduro, they were being arrested. And then they were checking the trunks of the cars, looking for weapons, explosives, any evidence that these people were pro-American. I think that is the near-term future for Venezuela. It's going to get way worse before it gets better, and they're going to turn on each other. And that's what I think we're already seeing.
It's a deep, yeah. That's what happens when you take away the center of power in any society. This is it's hard to say. Reliable polling hasn't really ever been, available for Venezuela.
Yeah.
But my gut tells me it's basically a 60-40, pro-social left versus right country.
Yeah.
And so that's evenly divided enough for them to turn on each other. And what the right doesn't have in numbers, they have in connections, external connections, power, and the ability to buy violence, right? So,
Ted, what do you think of the idea that part of the original Trump plan was that once Maduro was gone, all these Venezuelan immigrants and refugees in the United States would then be forcibly returned to Venezuela to go rebuild your own doggone country.
Well, I mean, that is certainly, I think, again, that's a happy, side effect, like the Mamdani thing.
Right.
I think it plays into it. I don't think it's a major thing. I think it's like number 4 on their list. I mean, the thing is, what I don't get, it's about the oil. So right now, I'm in Quebec City, right?
Yes.
And the Canadian news here is all full of the impact of Venezuela on Canada's oil industry, which is mainly in Alberta and British Columbia. And it turns out that the Canadians, they drill the same kind of heavy crude as the Venezuelans do. And they're like deeply concerned that this is also a way of fucking over the Canadians, because oil prices, if they ramp up production down there in Venezuela, that means there's less demand overall for this particular type of oil. There's all these other ramifications, right? I mean, I do think Trump's plan has like a laundry list of, happy side effects from the administration's point of view. And that's one of them. We can kick the Venezuelans out. Like, hey, you have no excuse. You no longer. This reminds me. I worked at the admissions office at Columbia in the early '90s, and in 1992 or 1993, we had people coming in on a federal program as political asylum. They had received political asylum from the Soviet Union, and I'm like, how can you be a refugee from a country that no longer exists? Well, similarly, how can you be a refugee from Maduro's socialist hellscape if Maduro's socialist hellscape no longer exists? You can go back, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Now, what do you think about the Canada side of this? I mean, the U.S. tensions between the U.S. and Canada. I've never seen, by the way, so much nationalism in Canada. When you watch TV here, you see all of the ads say like "made here in Canada" with the maple leaf, like Canada made. I never saw that when I used to come to Canada.
I've heard that it's especially prominent in the Canadian alcohol industry.
Mm-hmm.
That there are active and successful campaigns to boycott American alcohol. They're just not buying it.
Well, Jim Beam just had to suspend all of their production for the entire 2026 largely because of this. I mean, there's other problems inside the liquor, the bourbon market.
Yeah,
there's been they overproduced, but still.
Wow. Speaking of Five Eyes countries angry at us, I was supposed to be in Australia from December 27th to January 3rd. And obviously I wasn't in Australia. I couldn't get a visa. It was just stuck in limbo. And yesterday, after the show ended, I got my rejection from my Australian visa. And the rejection puzzled me. I wasn't rejected because of who I am or what I've done. I was rejected because they believe that I am an intending immigrant and that I intend to remain in Australia as an illegal immigrant.
What?
And they actually put that in writing, the idiots.
That's absurd. You would go to Greece.
I know, right?
If you wanted to leave the United, you can.
An intending immigrant. It's like, you assholes. If I still had my consular certification and I were working in an American embassy, I would just on principle reject every Australian for the next week.
Jesus Christ.
Which I actually once did to the Saudis.
What a bunch of twats. I don't even understand. All right, let's hit some questions on the way out here. Within a few minutes we have remaining. Ham Hawk, thanks for the $5. Did you see the bullion heist behind the scenes in Venezuela? I did not.
I did not either.
Okay, we'll check that out.
A bullion heist?
I guess so. Thoughts on Mark Kelly potentially losing a proportion of his military pension due to practicing free speech?
Yeah, they're talking about Hegseth yesterday said that he would begin the paperwork to demote Mark Kelly. See, this is the thing. When listen, I'm all about free speech, totally. I really am. But Mark Kelly is still in the military.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if the guy's a senator. He's still in the military. And
Yeah,
when you
have free speech,
yeah, exactly. It's like, what did you think was going to happen?
you signed it away.
Exactly. So,
okay, John, for you, great mosses. Why are the Gulf Arab states so close to the U.S.? Why does the U.S. allow them to prosper while attacking other oil-producing states? Are they puppets of the U.S.? That shouldn't take long for you to answer.
It's not a very nice way to say it, but yeah, pretty much they're puppets for the United States. And think of it this way too: there are half a dozen American bases in Saudi Arabia. There's an enormous army base in Kuwait. The headquarters of the Navy for the United States in the Middle East in Bahrain, and the world's largest Air Force base in Qatar. So there's your response right there.
Yeah, I will leave that. Timeless prestige. What are our opinions on Finland's President Alexander Stubb and the damaged cables close to Finland and Latvia?
It seems to me, actually, I'm going to go so far as to say it seems pretty clear to me that this was a Russian sabotage operation, and they got caught. Literally every crew member on the ship was Russian or Ukrainian. Do you think it's
revenge for Nord Stream?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, the revenge and Russia, they go together. Young Courthouse, $5. Thanks very much. Come on, John, don't dangle that Saudi embassy story without telling us. That's got to be the last comment.
Which Saudi embassy story? Oh, that. Oh, listen. Okay, so when I was stationed in Bahrain, there was this joke in the embassy that I should be named the Minister of Tourism, because I was all about taking everybody. If you want to drive to Saudi Arabia, John will do the driving. I'll show you the Eastern Province. I was an expert. So every time somebody new would come to the embassy, I would take them to Saudi Arabia for the weekend. You go shopping and we have dinner and we go to the souk and then we drive back across the causeway to Bahrain. So I had done this 6 or 7 times, and there was a group of women
10 seconds.
who came to the embassy. The Saudis rejected my visa because they said I was promoting prostitution. And so it just so happened I was assigned to the consulate that week, and I rejected every Saudi that applied for a visa.
That's going to do it for today. See you tomorrow. I'm not on TMI, but you still stay tuned for TMI. Robbie's going to be filling in for me with Manila Chan. See you tomorrow on both TMI and right here at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Bye, John. Thanks,
Bye,
everyone.
Ted. Bye, everybody. Thank you.